Hello everyone, and welcome back to myself. It's been over a year since I posted on my channel here, and it's gone through different iterations, and I started my channel during the pandemic as sort of an additional hobby, and I stepped away from it for a while as we were going through some major professional changes, but I'm back and I'm very happy to be back. And we're going to start off today with just a few updates, and then I'm going to do a Q&A and go through some of the questions that I've received on videos. Over the past year, I do actually read the comments, and so I'll be going through some of those and answering your questions. So what have I actually been up to in the past year? Well, my husband and myself spent most of this past year opening a small music school in Boston, Massachusetts. It's called the TASCAM School of Music, and I'll leave a link below if you want to check out our school and everything we offer. My husband is a professional violinist, and I myself am a pianist, composer, and singer-songwriter. And we offer piano lessons, violin, viola, cello, and guitar. And it's been a great learning experience getting the school up and running, and now that it's sort of settling into a nice rhythm, I decided to sort of get back into my additional hobbies, this being one of them. So I wanted to do a Q&A today to go through some of the questions that either I received a lot of repetitions of, or just ones that I felt like were worth addressing that I've been receiving over the past year on different videos. By far, the video that gets the most comments and questions and still views is my online setup video, which I made, I guess, a year and a half ago, almost 2 years, when I was doing a lot of online teaching during the pandemic, as I'm sure many people were. And that video has received by far the most comments and questions. And so I just wanted to go through some of those because some of them I either have answers to that I didn't then, or just updated versions because some things went out of stock and things like that. The first question that I'm going to go over is from Shiva Rahimi, and she asked, can the setup that I went over in that video work for a grand piano? Well, I couldn't really answer that at the time, but now we have a grand piano at our school, and I use this for basically all of my practicing and teaching. And I was doing some online teaching, and so I can confirm that it does not work for that setup. I had previously recommended a stand that was like quite heavy that could overlook the piano, and I stopped using that. I was able to set it up to put on the music stand, but I needed the music stand to look at the music while I was teaching, so I quickly figured out that wouldn't work. So what I actually do use when I need to teach online, if it's a snow day or someone's sick, is I have a boom arm microphone stand from Peak Stands, and I'll leave the link below. It is available. You cannot buy it on Amazon. You need to order it directly from the store, but it's totally worth it. This is a great stand, and it's really sturdy. And I use this stand with the attachment that looks like a hair clip basically, and I just clip my webcam, and it's really nice because you can extend the boom arm and set it up so you have a really good view of the piano. The second question is from Cynthia Macias. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. And she asks, why do you need an audio interface? The short answer is you do not actually need one. I decided to use one because I was teaching, 5 hours a day online, and it just became really necessary that the students be able to hear me well. If you're teaching a lesson here and there, I don't think it's necessary, but if you do teach a large studio and it's majority online, then I think it's worth having something that allows you to ensure you have good quality audio, at least for yourself, so your students are hearing you clearly and you're not spending unnecessary time repeating yourself during lessons. If you want another video on why that's important and how to set it up, I'm happy to do that. The next question came from Ryan Charles, still on the topic of online teaching, which is, did you use any other video platforms? And not really. I tried to, but I found that with the age group I was teaching, it was best to just have something easy and consistent. And for me, just across the board, that was using Zoom. And everything about online teaching is very different from when I made that first video now, especially pricing, so you can't really get away with teaching for free online with Zoom anymore. So I'm not sure I would necessarily recommend choosing that as your option if you're starting teaching online today. And because I don't currently teach a lot of students online, I'm not like going out and testing a bunch of these video softwares, but another one that I had tried to use and I've heard other people using, but no, I didn't test that many other online video software programs. The next question comes from Huge Blues, and he asked, how do you help your students set up their cameras for online lessons? And I would just recommend a few things. One, that ideally they should be using a laptop. And the reason why I say that is because it's adjustable. So if they're setting up a laptop or something on it, even something as simple as like a stack of books, they can change the angle of the laptop itself to sort of better suit your needs to see what they're doing. And unless they have some sort of specific stand made for an iPad, that can quickly become very challenging. If the only thing they have is an iPad, that's fine, but just keep in mind that most iPad cases are set up like with the triangle at the back, so the camera is actually leaning backwards and the direction of the sight line of the camera is up, which is not the best for us piano teachers, because usually we want something facing down towards the hands so we can see them. So that would be the first thing. And then in terms of where they place it, I want it to go on the side of the piano, and I want to be able to see their hands and their face at the same time. And that's pretty much it. Unless you go to their house, you can't 100% control that. And sometimes like they'll have a different computer from school or something, and it varies, but I would say try to keep it to a laptop. If they have a music stand around, that's actually really good to put their camera on. And I wouldn't recommend using an iPhone unless it's absolutely necessary. It's very hard to see. So that would be a recommendation for that. Okay, the next question came from, this is French, so forgive me. I think it's Pianole Van Rene. And she asked, what lav mic do I use and how is it set up? So I use the TASCAM DR10L, and I checked it's still available. I think it's like a pretty reputable option, and it's not that expensive. It's about $150, and it looks like this. It's pretty tiny, which I like, and I would consider myself not actually a technologically savvy person. So I like this because it's actually recorded into the system itself, into the box, and it's not wireless, so it's not transmitting anything to the camera. So it is a little bit more work on the back end if you're using it for videos like this, where you want to record something and then overlay it onto the video, because that is essentially what I'm doing. But I like it because I'm a soft speaker and it captures my audio very well and very clearly, and I generally find it very easy and simple to use. I will leave the link for this in the description as well. The next question I got repeatedly, so I'm not going to mention any particular names, but it's about the webcam that I mentioned in that video, because as far as I understand, it's no longer available. That makes sense because it's honestly not like a name brand webcam. And if you want other recommendations, again, I'm not making videos about only webcams, so I don't go out and buy a bunch of this stuff and try it. However, I think probably across the board people agree that the Logitech, I think it's C920, is a great and reliable webcam. But if you're not wanting to spend that money and you are comfortable perusing the many options of Amazon and want to try a few things, I would just recommend the following specifications to keep in mind, which is that you want something that's swivel so that you can turn it around. If you're using it over top the keyboard, you want to be able to turn around so that it's showing how your hands look like from your point of view. Something with a wide view so that you can see at least a majority portion of the keyboard. And then if you want to use the setup that I mentioned at the beginning with the mic stand, then I would advise getting something that has the ability to be kind of folded and clipped so that it can be grabbed by the mic stand. And then this one's kind of subjective, but if you know you're going to be keeping things far away, like maybe check the distance of the USB cable itself. If it's really, really short, that might cause a problem. So those would be my general recommendations for an updated webcam. The last question I'm going to mention about this online setup is from Brew Improv. And he said, how can the student see both the tablet and webcam? Because I showed in that original video how I was teaching online, and I showed the Zoom and then my overhead camera. And so to answer that quickly, basically what I was showing you is a shared screen, and that's a feature through Zoom itself. So if you are using Zoom, you can share your screen and connect to your tablet or other device that way, so that the student can see what you're putting on, the music and the annotations, but it will keep a small box. If you've used Zoom, you know it'll keep also like a small box in view for them of your face or what other camera you're using. So that's how that was possible. The last two questions I'm going to answer here are of a very different topic, and they were very recent comments actually, and really, really kind and thought out responses. And so I wanted to also bring that into this video, which is more along the lines of practicing and also how to inspire one's musicianship. And the first question, I will put the whole question here because it was very nice and thoughtful, but basically it was, how can you re-enjoy practicing? And I think that's such an important question, and I can give an answer, but it's always a little bit personal because I think we all have different experiences as musicians and what music means to us. But he was specifically asking about his two children who are in their teenage years. And I think at that age, there's so much going on. And in general, there is just widespread identity solidification going on. You know, they're getting a little bit older, learning more about themselves. So part of it is, I think, giving them room to explore any and all genres, whether that's in their lessons or not. If you have a teacher that's comfortable incorporating a wide variety of styles in their lessons, then you should discuss that with them, because that might open a door that they didn't know they were even interested in the first place. And then another part of that is listening to music. I think we, even as musicians, forget about that, like how to pique your own interest. It's listening to different genres and different instruments too, especially I can say as a composer, and like my main instrument is piano, but I don't always go to piano music for inspiration as a pianist. And I think other instruments can verify that same thing. And so letting them be curious and give them avenues to have like an open mindset, because if you're trying to form your identity around music and how to enjoy it, then I think you have to know all the possibilities before you decide which one you want to choose for yourself. So I think that's going to be it for today. Just wanted to reintroduce myself and say hi if you're new here, and hi if you are old here. It's been a while, and thank you so much for listening. I hope that I answered everyone's questions in a helpful way, and if you have follow-up questions, please leave them in the description box below. And also, if you have any ideas for videos that you'd like to see me make as I'm getting back into the channel, please do also list them below. I do have my own ideas for how I see this channel progressing after an extended break, but I would love to hear your thoughts as well. And thank you so much for listening today, and I hope to see you soon. Bye!